Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And gaming journos are shocked. They're shocked.
Shocked, I tell you.
Shocked and surprised that they're losing their jobs in record numbers. They don't understand what they did wrong.
Yeah, what's interesting to me, though, well, we're going to look at this here in a minute, but like they're talking out of both sides of their face because they're saying that they don't understand what they did wrong, followed by, we didn't hit the mandates. Like, then you know completely what you did wrong.
Look, and I've said this before. We've done multiple videos on this. The economy is changing. The ad rates are down. Gaming journalism, as it's been for the last 5 to 8 years, is no longer sustainable. There's no more venture capital. People are tuning out. They're going to YouTubers. They're going to Twitch. They're watching individuals who actually like games and can actually play games do their thing, and they don't trust video game journalists. And this goes clear back to that thing that happened in 2014. I don't know if we can talk about, but yeah, there's been a lot of distrust by gamers of gaming journalists. God, I can't imagine why. Look at all the headlines that come out.
The thing that happened in 2014 they keep trying to bring back?
Because of hits, because of...
Yes. Well, they said that.
Yeah.
Basically, it's about trying to get hits to the site.
Yeah.
Duh.
What?
Especially now when ad rates are down.
Ad rates are down substantially. I don't know what theirs are like, but I know
there's what?
Our one ad network for our websites, we are down 70%. And I've said it before. I'm trying to reiterate why you are losing your jobs, because they're making a fraction of the revenue they were, and you were a luxury item, and frankly, video game journalists, even the gaming companies now realize that they don't need to advertise on these gaming sites because real gamers aren't on these sites. And
no,
these
they're
sites,
watching YouTube videos and Twitch streams.
And in a lot of cases, these websites are actively attacking games. Look at Hogwarts Legacy. If you're Warner Brothers, do you spend money on a website that, You have a website
attacking the biggest games that are out there, or at least they don't like, and they didn't cover it. Like, which
Hogwarts.
one? No, which one didn't cover it?
The Gamer. They refuse to cover Hogwarts Legacy, which would have been a huge traffic driver for them because it was the best-selling game at the time.
Yeah.
And look, these journos are being told to pack up their boxes and go away.
Well, they're told to do their jobs first, so that didn't work.
Yeah, and if you read between the lines here when they talk about the complaints, it sounds to me like they were given mandates to improve traffic and drive revenue.
Well, that might be, to be fair, devil's advocate here, that might have been why they doubled down so hard on the clickbaity bullshit, was because they were basically told to hit these mandates or be gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be why. But then we also have a problem with a bunch of game journalists who don't actually play games.
A lot of people, and they think that, gaming journalism is a job, and I keep thinking back to Electronic Gaming Monthly, and that was started by fans. It originally wasn't supposed to become like a business. It kind of grew into a business.
But there was demand.
There was a demand for it. There was a massive demand, and
people don't want PlayStation 5 reviews that are about Trump, or Xbox reviews that are about how they have a fear of holes.
I know, right? Afraid of holes. Anyway, let's talk about this a little bit more. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. If you do, you'll get a woohoo.
Woohoo! I bet their sex life sucks.
Yeah, right. I'm afraid of holes. Gamesindustry.biz. Why do games media layoffs keep happening? Redundancies are not uncommon, but the pace at which it's happening in games media is swelling because the money is running out. And
because they're redundant. They're journalists are redundant.
It said layoffs in games media have been taking place with alarming frequency, with businesses often citing structure change, supply chain issues, and very tough market environment. Basically, I think in a lot of ways, they had a list of people that they probably wanted to get rid of, but they couldn't get rid of because Twitter backlash. I don't think they care about that now. They don't now.
Like they used to. They used to be like, yes. I don't want to be looking at, like, we used to talk about it when it came to pop culture and people calling people, like, the studios calling people names. Like, you're just a racist. And people are like, I don't want people to think I'm a bad person. Now they're just like, oh, fuck it, I don't care. It's the same thing.
No, that's exactly it. I think once Elon Musk bought Twitter and the culture changed and they realized that you didn't need to be afraid of Twitter anymore, that most people didn't believe that, because these journos had all this power. They're like, yeah, bitches, you get rid of me, I'm going to go.
That's why we had Gamergate.
Yeah. You try to get rid of me, or you try whatever, I'm going to go screaming on Twitter, and it's going to destroy your business. Me and all 25,000 of my sock puppet accounts, we're going to destroy you. And they basically blew themselves up.
Yeah.
Because they destroyed themselves. They're like, we're not going to cover the best-selling game of the year, even though it's our job.
Well, in the case of this article, which you're going to talk about in a minute, but they talk about was Elden Ring. The problem was that the other option is they go too hard into one game, and then they niche themselves, and when that game's not popular anymore, it ends up hurting them, and they get shit canned.
That is pretty much every niche website out there.
Exactly. Tell you with Disney, it's happening.
It's happening with Disney right now. Disney
People
sites
really hate Disney now.
Yeah, for 10 years, 12 years, a lot of the pixie duster blogs were doing very, very well because people couldn't get enough Disney. They were planning their Disney trips. They were all about Marvel. They were all about Star Wars, and now they're not.
Right. We were like one of the exceptions, like WDW News Today too, where they're like telling you the truth, telling you when there's new stuff coming out. If something's good, you say so, but also calling out the bad, and you weren't allowed to call it the bad. Now it's that's the only way you're getting any hits now is by calling out the bad.
So just to put this in perspective, if you guys haven't been following, so many gaming sites have laid off. They said it's endemic to the games media landscape now. They said Inverse laid off members of its editorial team. Vice shut down its gaming site. The Washington Post shut down its gaming site. Fanbyte shut down. And lots of layoffs at Gamers Group. They said one of the most common challenges many of the news team faced, according to the conversation with several affected journalists and editors, was the pressure to meet traffic and revenue metrics.
Like, do your job. I mean, this is a job. Is that not a job? You don't get just to write because you like to write and play games. You have to actually bring money in to pay for yourself. Hence metrics.
Yeah, right. And then to your point, for many writers, Elden Ring became a crucial catalyst for surpassing these goals. So yeah, and the problem with these corporate-owned sites is corporations don't understand downturns in revenue or downturns in traffic. You always have to go up and up and up and up. You always have to surpass your goals, your expectations, and they keep raising the bar and raising the bar and raising the bar. They don't understand, if you're in it for the long term, that you're going to have months or maybe years where your traffic's down and then you're going to have a spike again, as long as it's sustainable. They don't want something that's just sustainable. They want something that is profitable, and it's really hard to do when the ad rates are so terrible. So yeah, they said they leaned in on Elden Ring. A lot of them were boycotting Hogwarts Legacy. That would have been a good traffic driver.
Yes.
Or they were writing articles about why they refused to.
That's mostly it. And like, here, donate to the Trevor Project. That was pretty much what they would do. And J.K. Rowling's a bigot. That was pretty much what they were doing. We pivoted to Elden Ring guides because longer pages essentially brought in more revenue. It's true because they had more ad spots, says a writer from Fanbyte. While we weren't able to meet the traffic goals, we were able to meet the revenue goals, which we were told was fine. This fixation on traffic may have been a sign of what was to come for Tencent-owned Fanbyte, which has since become a guides-focused publication. Well, I was going to say, though, because in September 2022, they're talking about writers getting laid off. Okay, September of last year comes next. But they were saying they didn't care as the traffic was met as long as the financial goals were met. But back then, the ad rates were not bad. So now, when you have to hit the traffic goals because you're not getting the ad rates, they all got laid off last year ahead of the big decline. And they weren't hitting it then.
Yeah. So it's going to keep, we've got kind of the quickening here where we're going to have a couple of sites that are left. But what happened was almost all these sites were started by fans initially, right? Mm-hmm. And then they cashed out. This happened with comic book sites. This happened with the game sites. This happened with movie sites. They all cashed out because, you had the Valnets coming to them and offering them a lot of money at the time. Here, have a couple $1 million. We're going to take your site, And if you're an individual and you're like, man, this is more money than I've ever seen, you're going to sell it because it was going to become part of a corporate marketing machine. Mm-hmm. Well, once that happens, we see firsthand what happened with like Comic Book Resources. It's not even Comic Book Resources. It's CBR, and it's a clickbait farm.
But people have to understand, too, though, that the reason that they bought them all up was because then you can sell larger ads across a bigger platform.
The network. Yeah. Yeah.
That's why they bought him up. And the problem is that, and that's why I honestly think this is why they went so hard in the paint with the clickbait tack fans at first, because it worked. Now then it backfired spectacularly.
Yeah, so I think that is kind of what happened. I mean, we mentioned that before. We're like, no real person can actually believe this. Even if you liked The Last Jedi or you liked whatever, like the amount of vitriol, the amount of what, it was really disproportionate. And it felt like word salad. It felt like they were looking at Google Trends and they were looking at what the search terms were on their website to get traffic. And they're like, okay, well, if we put misogynist, bigot, Last Jedi, Gamergate all in one headline, this thing is going to get all kinds of traffic.
And it worked for a while.
It did work for a while. But I'm also like, no real person, even if I vehemently disagree with them, no real person talks like this, thinks like this, and it was all bullshit. And then what would happen is YouTubers would actually make more money mocking them.
Yeah, that's what happened.
So it became this like parasitic relationship, right? Which I admit, I mean, we've been in that. We're in that cycle. But it became this parasitic relationship where they would write bullshit articles that were worthy of being mocked, and then YouTubers would mock them, and then people would go read their articles on their site because they wanted to read the whole thing. So we actually, in a weird way, became some of the best advertising that these people ever had.
Yes and no, because I think what happened was a lot of people didn't even have, like, thanks, I don't have to read it.
That's true too.
I mean, so that's why they got mad at us. That's why we had some of the people that were writers get pissed at us, was because we were calling them out on their bullshit. But it wasn't just that. Then people wouldn't go read their article.
People were using like Archive to bypass ads. People were using ad blockers. Ad blockers are on the rise now. I mean, the landscape has changed so much since 2013, 2014. And I think G4 TV was like the perfect example of what not to do. They basically thought because they were corporate owned, they could walk in there with millions of dollars and just like take over gaming news and esports news and all that.
But you still have to be somebody's. But they used to be people that people listen to. But since then, I think between the first G4 and the latest G4 was that those years of activist bullshit from the hosts, and they basically chased off their audience. And then what audience they did have, they chased off within the first couple of months with, someone's rant.
Yeah, and a lot of these writers, I mean, beyond the fact that many of them don't even play the games or can't play games, a lot of them were using this as a stepping stone to get a job working for some other publication. Well, those publications have laid people off or folded themselves.
Well, they're not going anywhere because there's any place to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the market. I mean, you get mad at people, and when we get to it, I don't blame them for being upset in how they were laid off and how it was handled. It was handled very poorly. To that, I will agree with them. But I can tell you, as people who own websites, it's like there's not many places you can go because the market isn't sustainable right now.
Yeah.
It just isn't sustainable, which is why these blogs are folding. Sorry, I don't want to tell you, it's not sustainable.
And they're talking about their exit interviews, that they were really abrupt and they were getting these like form emails and stuff. And they're like, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, a worker will go through 12 to 15 jobs in their lifetime. This is a small bump in your career, and we sincerely hope you'll come back stronger.
But it wasn't just that. They waited until they knew that they were in the middle of stuff.
Oh, that happens all the time though. This is what I don't get. Like, this is how corporations work. This is how you are a human resource. You're basically, to a lot of these corporations,
a cog in the wheel.
You are, and they're just like, okay, we got all these people. Yeah, they're people, but they're also kind of like our fax machine or our copier.
You're number 53, you're number 54.
Yeah, we got to unload a bunch of people. So when's the best time to do it with minimal backlash? Oh, wait till they're busy, or wait till a weekend, or wait till, you know what I'm saying? And that has happened in companies I've worked at. They'd lay people off. They're like, when's the best time to do it? Well, do it like first thing Monday morning, so we can just kind of cleanse our palate at the beginning of the week, and then we don't have to deal with all the issues. Or wait until Friday and just like let the other shoe drop, and here's your paycheck, get the hell out of here. Last paycheck.
Yeah, you've been there.
But I've been there. I mean, they do. They literally will take meetings about like, okay, we know these people are going to be difficult and it's going to be messy and it's never easy. It is never easy. And I've been involved in that. I've had to make that decision too. Be like, who are we getting rid of and when do we get rid of them? and try not to be a shit about it. But I mean,
these people didn't even seem like they tried not to be shits about it. That's
they're just like,
yeah.
Well, and a lot of these people were probably freelance too, and they're like, well, this is easy to get rid of you because you're just a freelancer. We don't need you anymore. We don't need a plumber now. This Fanbyte Raider said, I can laugh about it now, but the quote was so shitty of them. Before Fanbyte, they said it was known as ZAM, and then they talked about how all these sites are getting bought up and rebranded.
Well, let's comment here there had been no indication at that point that there was going to be any sorts of layoffs. There usually aren't. Well, no, there usually are. If they're telling you there's mandates and you're not hitting them, should be the first indication. However, when there's no indication, they don't want you to know, because if you know, then you're not going to hang. They want you there till they want you there. So if they know like a month out they're going to get rid of you, they're not going to tell you, because then you could leave before the month's out. I mean, it's shitty, and I totally don't agree with it. I'm just saying this is why companies do it.
So take it from a middle-aged dad who was middle management for years and who owns businesses, right? You develop a sense. It's like a dog going to the vet. If your intuition is telling you that things are not fine at the company,
start looking.
If they start cutting back on expenses, if there are a lot of closed door meetings, if your peers at other competing websites are all getting fired, if there's talks of actually the big indicator is when they stop talking about your future. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, we're not talking about things we're going to do 6 months from now, because you're probably not going to be part of that plan. And I the one job in particular, I was kind of like, I was fishing for like, okay, so what are we going to do next quarter? What are we going to do? Because I'm like, I know because I had access to the financials in my role. I could see what was coming in every month. And I'm like, so what are we doing next quarter? How are we going to change it up next quarter? What are we?
Right.
And I think me asking those questions got me going sooner than I normally would have been, because there wasn't going to be a next quarter for me.
A good, if you're lucky, you have someone who's upfront with you and honest and says, "Hey, look, it's not doing so hot. I'm just letting you know." A lot of people won't do that. They won't give you any indication. And if somebody's honest with you, it's up to you if you want to go or not or stay. It's up to your choice. But I prefer honesty over trying to second guess.
Well, this is interesting too, because they said that Fanbyte in particular was trying to give them the unattainable goal, and that's another way that they get rid of people, is they basically give you a goal, unrealistic goals, and then they have a cost, like they have a paper trail. Like, well, we told them they had to hit this much money this quarter, and they didn't do it, even though it's completely unrealistic.
Yeah, so they have grounds to get rid of you.
Yeah,
because some states you have to have a reason.
Yes.
Where we're from, they can get rid of you because they don't like your shoes. I mean, it's ridiculous, but true.
So they go through all of these, and they were talking about Gamers Group, which I've heard is a shit show right now. They're laying people off. IO9, we did a video about them the other day, that they were shocked that the site owners were using AI and sneaking AI articles onto their website. They were like, basically, how very dare you? And I'm like, I hate to break it to you, Sunshine. You're just the editor. They own the website. They can do whatever the hell they want, and they don't need your permission. What they're doing is they are fishing. They're trying to see what they can get away with. If they can get away with more AI articles, if they can. And the weird thing is it might be by them pumping the site full of more AI articles, they might be driving more traffic to the site, which might mean that you get to stay longer. But because you guys had such a meltdown on Twitter, you just put a huge target on your forehead.
Totally possible. Yes.
They might have been trying to save your jobs, being like, okay, if we do a 50-50 split of AI articles based on what people are actually looking for, not your hot takes on Trump, not your hot takes on,
If it was another place that wasn't an online blog and place like a corporate, like I would say yes, but in their case, I doubt they're just like, they're just trying to save their own asses and save and make money for the company. But we were where we're at, because people will actually care about other people. So you've been at jobs where they actually took pay cuts higher up to keep everyone, so no one had to get laid off because they cared about it. But that was a small company. These are like this is a cog in a wheel from somebody else. They don't probably give a shit. Let's be honest.
These websites, and the pop culture websites too, and the comic book sites, they were all gobbled up by corporations because they were going to use them to market their shit. They were going to sell ads when the ad rates were really good. Nerdist is a prime example. Nerdist was bought by Legendary because they wanted to use it to pimp their movies. You know, and we just had Anime News Network got gobbled up by, I think it was Kodansha bought them. And the whole purpose of that is they just want to pimp their product, and it's marketing.
Right, that's what it was, yeah.
And when you're no longer valuable to their marketing efforts, you know, you're out the door. Now, this is interesting, though, because they said, you get to the bottom of it, and they said there's no future. There's no future for gaming journalists. They said in the long run, many journalists are pessimistic about the future of games media. Several uphill battles lay ahead. The constant struggle to outpace the whims of an SEO-dominated industry.
You know, because it has to be. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
We always want to write because we want to write. Well, then go write a book. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. I'm just like, well, one, water's wet. And two, I mean, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, they said digital media has not found a way to remain profitable enough for its key stakeholders. And this is what we told you. Digital media was propped up by venture capitalism. And once the venture capital ran out, so did your... Because it wasn't even directly. It wasn't even like the websites were taking venture capital themselves. In a lot of cases, it was like their advertisers were. You know, or they were propped up in other ways, and it just set off this domino effect of like, this isn't necessary.
People who didn't take it because they had money in that bank, it's been biting everybody in the ass and across the board.
Yep. You have some people doing great investigative journalism, covering news or writing very long, in-depth oral histories and features about the industry. In general, that's not what places are writing. That's not what where resources are going to. Says Veloci, who maintains the newsletter Paid and Exposure about the current state of media. It's going
a lot of them do.
Yeah, it's going toward SEO stuff, affiliate revenue articles, and quick hit guides.
Well, here's the problem too. You had some people that were, and this saw us in comics as well, would work for cheap because they didn't care. They just wanted the platform. And I think that happened with a lot of these blogs.
Yeah. Okay, so so the money's running out. We're laying people off, right? Because we can't afford to pay for them. It's the free ride's over. Another writer says they simply cannot see how newer writers might break into the industry, with competition being extremely tight these days in light of the layoffs. This, unfortunately, will lead to a shrinking pool of diverse, underrepresented voices. That's your concern.
No, they don't care about that. They're just using that to leverage it. Let me guess. This person's considered a diverse, underrepresented person.
Probably.
And I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job because I can't call you a meanie pants, misogynist, racist anymore and get my own way.
Well, look what happened. Look what happened with Netflix. They made a big deal about having this diverse blog. Was it Tadum or Tadam or
Tadum?
Tadum.
I'm like, it was a stupid name. I get why
Tadam.
I get why they went with it. I get it, but it was a stupid name.
It was Tadum, and that was one of the first things they cut when they hit a bump. These blogs are marketing tools, and when they're not valuable anymore, marketing is always the first thing that gets cut. Coming from a guy who worked in media and marketing pretty much his whole career, that is almost always the first thing that gets cut. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry you found out.
No. But that's what they always do.
Yeah, you actually need to maintain your advertising because people still need to know you exist, because out of sight, out of mind. It's just the way it is. This person said, I sincerely don't know where we go from here. It's such a difficult time to see any future for this industry because I'm thinking about all those young people who might want to get into games journalism. And it's like you're going to be competing against really seasoned professional editors and writers that have been doing this for a while. This is every industry. Because they're also looking for jobs. They've also been laid off. Cream rises to the top, right? And that is... So what will happen is the talented people, the people that actually...
The genuinely talented people, not the ones that scream on Twitter.
Right. The genuinely... And there are talented video game journalists.
That play the games for real.
That actually play the games. They will go start their own blogs. They will go start their own YouTube channels, their own podcasts. And they'll make their own job. The rest of you who were parasites, who basically latched on to the video game industry, trying to get yourself something to get to the New York Times, which is even laying off, you're fucked. I mean, I'm sorry. You just are.
And that's what happened again, like in comics. You had all these people that were willing to take less and work cheap, but then that came with it was cheapness, and then it took down the whole industry, and now they're out the door, and sorry.
Yeah, sorry. And
you wanted a seat. You don't want to create something.
Yeah, and again, back to EGM before we wrap it up. Like back in the day, we only had a handful of video game magazines, and it could be argued that people were willing to pay for gaming journalism back then, and games were super hot back then. And, there was only a handful. Now there's like 50 million of these damn blogs giving content away, and a whole bunch of people writing for them that aren't gamers like these guys were.
And you can go find these other issues clearly, and you can go read about,
Oh yeah, these are great. I still have a stack.
My brother used to have these.
I have a stack in the garage. I still have a stack of my EGMs. I love them. Anyway, we're gonna wrap this up.
Yep.
I think we need to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rant skeds. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.